So thank you, Majlis Ulama, for organizing this training session, and inshallah, there are a few more to come to cover the whole breadth of best practices in teaching and aid our teachers who are doing madrasa classes with Majlis Ulama and also elsewhere. Just before I begin, I have to say this that we've got, alhamdulillah, like scholars in this course. Someone like my teacher, Dr. Sheikh Mohammed Zakaria, and Maulana Ali Raza, Maulana Najmul Hassan, Maulana Dr. Naqvi. So it's uh, I don't feel appropriate in here to be training, but thank you for giving me that opportunity. And inshallah, we can talk about in the next 45 minutes to an hour, talk about some creative teaching methods which will help you in your classes and also in preparing for those classes. So my name is Ali, as Brother Misa mentioned. I'm currently finishing my MA Islamic Studies, doing HOSA as well. Recently did the Madrasa Training Certificate. And there is a professional background in IT and also working with various community organizations and teaching trainings and madrasa management. So hopefully I can bring the experience together in these few slides, and together we can learn on using these best ways sort of forward. So what I'll be covering today is Dr. Naqvi mentioned. I mean, we are in online mode at the moment with the pandemic, but hopefully, and there are signs that towards the end of the year or maybe like middle of the year as well, we are able to go back to our schools and madrasas and resume the on-site classes. But I just wanted to give you a snapshot view of what we experienced. Those who have taught in madrasas and taught in online classes, you could see a quick side-by-side comparison in there. We'll review some of the traditional methods of teaching, which are one class as wrong or right, but the children have been used to various ways in their schools, using the media and other sources of knowledge. So let's see what are the usual things we've been accustomed to for the past number of years, so that we're able to understand how we can use these new methods and technologies to make learning more fun, and also more useful to them. We'll go through how children learn, some statistics in there, and then the meat of this session, giving you some tips and tricks on how you can make your classes interesting. And lastly, I've put a checklist together of some do's and don'ts. So if you're assessing yourself after this course or in general, you can check what you do and what you don't, and very welcome for your suggestions in chat to improve myself as well. Just a quote from Imam Ali, which I found just very relevant to the topic title of creative teaching, that do not force your own customs upon your children, for they are in other times than yours. So the way we are training or teaching our children should be slightly different, and the word force is used. So we can use some of the customs because we have to keep some customs, like the respect and the learning element, but the methods could be different because they are in a different time. So just to give you a little background and set the scene of where we are where we are at the moment and where we will be going. You will see that online classes have got a lot more things to manage about compared to the on-site classes, which are in madrasa buildings or schools or any other physical premises. This is screen over here with the 9 tiles. I'm sure like everyone would be used to. In fact, like the fact we are using online method to teach or train right now, everyone is used to this this screen where you have lots of people coming on with different backgrounds in boxes, doing different things. Some people looking, some people doing other bits. It's personally, I think like cameras are super important, but it always turns out that people find one reason or the other to keep them turned off. I feel like, you know, for that 1 hour that the class is going on, especially in online classes, arrangements can be made that you are able to keep the camera on, and that should be promoted as much as possible. However, you know, as I said, I had different experiences. You know, people have come with reasons, and you stop at a certain point where you say, okay, you can keep your camera off. But if it was me, then I would really try and get the cameras on for everyone, because you really need to see what's going on, and not just the child see you. So within the online classes, you know, you've got different laptops, mobiles, you know, microphone, cameras, internet connection. Where that person is sitting, you know, he could be in his bedroom, he could be in a specific place, you know, whether he needs some support. You know, he's obviously alone over there, not within a class or with other classmates. There could be lots of distractions, like, you know, bell ringings. The timings are you know, the way times the class starts, ends, breaks, you know, is very different. All the materials that they're using are different, and you know, generally he's in a home, so that mindset is very different from his state. So he's just there, like, waiting for the teacher to say something, and he'll act upon that. He's not in that sort of ready state to be receiving you know, what is being said. We do try to get there, and some students are better than the others, but in general, it's compared to an on-site class, you know, a less energetic environment, I'd say. Within the on-site classes, you know, the picture on the right, you see, you know, as soon as you enter the school or the madrasa, the world changes. When you enter your class, you know, the world is already set for you. Or the environment is already set for you, and your mind just get into that mode. And teachers, you know, the teacher can just connect with you anytime. When we're working in online classes, it's slightly different. You have to get that attention, and then keep that attention and make sure that the other kids are involved at the same time too. The fellow students, you know, if you notice online classes, I've seen, like, when we are talking, usually it's just a one-to-one, although you have other people in the class, but you are in that one-to-one mode with that particular child when you are interacting with them. Within the on-site classes, that's different. You know, you could feel the whole class getting involved, and obviously energy and the feedback. So I guess what I'm trying to get to over here is that with what I'm about to teach or tell you, the age range is important. You know, the younger classes of book 1, book 2s would be different than the book 6s and the book 7s. So we have to cater, you know, for all sizes. And for online classes specifically, the goal should be to make the online class as close to that on-site class as possible. On-site classes and children learning is the best way. You know, we have to resort to online classes because physical interaction is not possible, and it's just you know, we can't do anything about it. If there was any way to do it, then learning would resume. But for the younger children, and we're talking like primary children, and just when they're about to get into secondary or early secondaries in there, that should be our goal if we are conducting an online class. So this tells you, like, what's involved in online and on-site classes. Let's have a quick look at the traditional methods as well. And when I say traditional methods, I mean, like, this is what has been happening for a number of years. Some teachers, when we look at lessons, these days it's easier to look at recorded lessons, or even when you observe teachers, you find that the most common thing that is being used, which I find, is getting the students to read from a course book about a topic. For example, we're discussing akhlaq and cleanliness. Then the teacher would ask kids to read themselves. So they will give them like 5-10 minutes to read something, or they read it out to them. So they read out the text. That's one of the methods, and it was based on hearing and listening skills, where when you say something to them, the idea was that people would get information in. So is effective to a certain extent. Use text from the course book only. So we are used to using the Majlis Ulama or any other curriculum that we're using. We'll just open that up, and that page about cleanliness is everything about cleanliness. And this sort of limits the thinking, even though that has got enough material to explain cleanliness, but things may have moved on. There would be the more closer examples, more day-to-day examples, something that the children would have loved to hear, at that time, because they are used to that, and it's a very common thing in their stage of life. So we kind of limit ourselves in the material from the course book only, and I'll come to the next slide. Will tell you, like, what are the other things available. So this is just giving you, like, what we have been doing, and in some cases, like, doing right now as well. I've seen teachers saying, or asking the students, to mention the topic. So they say that today we're talking about Prophet Ibrahim in history, and tell us, like, what do you know about Prophet Ibrahim? And this is the beginning of the lesson. So you kind of checking their existing knowledge on Prophet Ibrahim, and it's good because kids will come back with whatever they know, and you'll have an idea of how much they know, or whether they have the right understanding or not. So that's one of the ways. Sometimes where PowerPoints are used, you see a lot of text in them. So there will be paragraphs or screenshots of the whole book pages in there. And it just, I think the teacher is trying to make sure that everything is in one place, and they can read it out, or the child can read the PowerPoint and understand all the topics in there. They have been instances where when I listen to a class, I just hear the voice of the teacher only. So the teacher is always saying or doing something, and the students might be doing things, but you don't hear, like, the voices of the teachers or the students, and it just feels like it's like a bit of a lecture happening with the student understanding what is being asked from them, and just doing, but not interacting as such. So we'll talk about some of the techniques, like how to make children talk as well. One other thing I found is a story. So some teachers are telling, like, a lot of stories. Again, that's good for a certain age group, even for the older children as well. But there is it doesn't stop at that point. With the story, there's a lot of follow-up side, and also in terms of assessing the learning, what has been learned from that story, and how the key points of the topic. So, for example, like if we are talking about taharat or najasat or hijab or any other topics like that, and there is a story sort of related to that, then you have, or we'll talk about, how you make sure that your points are covered in whatever method you're using, because that's the ultimate purpose. We are there to teach them about Hajj, for example, and whatever way we use, at the end of it, those 5 things, if they are asked, what do you know about Hajj, then they need to know at least those 5 things that you wanted to convey about. We also try to fit a lot of content in one class, perhaps due to some limitation of finishing certain chapters or certain books within a particular time frame. And I feel like madrasa teaching is slightly different, because most likely, that is the only place where the child is learning that particular topic from you, the religious topic that is being taught about. And if there's any rush of any sort, then that is leaving essential information out, or not making sure that they have actually understood the topic, or creating more confusion than creating awareness or understanding. So again, that's one of the methods that's observed. I have also seen reliance on worksheets quite a lot. So those teachers who say, okay, let's get a student involved and doing something, and worksheets are produced to, so worksheet is there and it's given to them for completing, and then that takes like say 5-10 minutes, and then the worksheet is assessed on what the student is written. So there's little teaching of the topic, but the reliance is on a worksheet, and the worksheet could be very comprehensive in terms of the topics that are being sort of covered, but that conversation on the topic, some parts of that conversation, I'd say, is missed because the worksheet is being relied upon too much. And lastly, just for today's purpose, because again, this is a huge topic, and we do have limited time, so just the big ones, the major ones that come to my mind. Whenever a student enters a class, he knows that this is what the teacher will do. So the teacher has set themselves in a way where they will come in, they will ask this, they will do this, they will do this, and literally like in 5 steps, you can tell like this is what the class would be, and that could become sometimes boring for the teachers, for the students, where they know, oh, it's the same stuff as we do. So they're not looking forward or quizzed about, like, curious about like what's going to happen, what will we do this time, what new thing will we see, and that's their mindset in terms of curiosity. So again, the traditional method would be that the teacher has a style, and that style would just sort of continue as it is. I was going to ask in chat, like, if you think of more traditional methods, but you're welcome to put that in chat if you think some of the things you have been doing or you've seen like happening, and you think they are effective, in certain criteria, but maybe not that effective as they should be. You're welcome to put that in chat for other people's benefit, but inshallah, I'll move on just from a time sake. So and you're welcome to put any questions in the chat as well, just so that we save time at the end while I'm going through the sessions, these slides. So when we get to the end, we'll cover as many questions as possible. So there has been a lot of studies done on how children learn and their retention rates of different methods of the teacher, the teacher using different methods of explaining subjects. And as you can see from the top, and when I saw first, I thought like, lecture is there's some problem like where it's blank, but finding out more, it's that if you are just giving a lecture to children, they actually don't retain anything. That's I don't know, this is like a very personal thing where, when I'm listening to a lecture, unless I actually make a note of something, if you ask me a week later or even like 2 days later on what did that lecture said, I have to think really hard to find like, oh, what was the person saying? And this is partly because you listen to too many lectures as well. There's so many things going on. So if you're trying to remember, what that particular sheikh said or what that person said, it's it becomes really hard to remind yourself. So lecturing to students, has got no retention rate. Basically, they will listen to it, and they will most likely like forget. Then there is a chart going forward. So when you're reading something to them, it's 10% effective. So they are, if you read. So when I say 10%, it would be if you read, I'd say, 10 pages, then they probably would remember, one of them. So that's the percentage we're looking over here. Audio visual is, then now it starts to get better. If you use audio visual techniques, so we're talking YouTube videos, or you play a sound or a part, then that helps. But then when you move on to more towards demonstrating something, so something is going on, and we'll have examples of all the 4 areas, fiqh, akhlaq, history, and aqaid, on the demonstration. But demonstration increases, if you have that discussion, now you get into like the participation mode. The participation increases it all the way up to 50%. If you are making them do something, and this is complemented. So we talked about the worksheet example. This is about complemented with the key concepts and the topics that we are trying to impart. And lastly, it's interesting about teaching others. So I'll come with an example on how we can make students teach each other, and that could be one of the creative ways. So thank you, sister. I think I've got 3 questions, and I will get into. I think one of them is related to this slide, so I'll take it now. One of the questions is like, what if children are reading? So this slide is more, the teacher sort of using these methods to teach. Obviously, children reading themselves, that goes into when they are doing something. So when they are involved in it, the retention rates definitely increases. Okay, so let's get into some of the actual teaching aids, and the creative part. What this session is exactly about. And I've summarized some of these methods. Obviously, there's a whole range of methods. But these, and you may, we've got lots of existing teachers over here. So you may be already using some of these methods. And again, very interested in finding out if you have more creative ways of doing things as well. Some of them that is not covered in here. So the first one is, and this happened to me as well in my classes, because I attend a few classes. What the teacher does is they create a script with students as actors in them, and ask the students to read their part from the screen. Now this could be a online. So the aids that I'll mention, some of them can be used online only, But I would think that because you have laptops and mobile phones and tablets available in classes these days, you are able to use some of the online methods as well within within your on-site classes. But some places will mention a screen, but you could have that in your physical class too. So I gave an example on the right-hand side. We have to teach Usul al-Din. So think of all the traditional methods that you can use as well. Think of, as we say, like outside the box, and see if you have to teach Usul al-Din. Step one is you understand what do you actually want to teach. I have never mentioned it anywhere in this slide, but by now you'll all be aware that preparation to a class is key. It is just sort of impossible that and we've all been there. I mean, certainly I've been there, where I have just decided to turn up to a class, finding out this is a long time ago, before I acquired knowledge. So you turn into a class and say, okay, what am I teaching today? Or ask the children, like, what was taught in the last class? And then you open the book and say, okay, I have to teach Usul al-Din today. Where do I begin? So needless to mention, preparation is key. And when with preparation, what my advice is, and experience, and something that I found really working, is if you have to teach Usul al-Din, or if you have to teach akhlaq topics, any akhlaq topic, the Majlis Ulama curriculum books are, I class them as excellent in terms of the topics being covered over there. So they've got all the areas that you need to tell or teach students about. They've got the basic content, but like all other curriculum books, it's not a comprehensive, complete set of knowledge. So you can't fit all that in these in one book, basically. So there's lots of topics in there, but you will have to put some of your own understanding. So coming back to Usul al-Din, you know that this week you're teaching Usul al-Din, and you come back with these are the things I want to teach them. These are out of the 4 pages of Usul al-Din. These are the things that I really need to cover in there. And then you create this script, like you have the script on the right hand side, where and this is you have to do that. So this is part of your preparation. So we've got 5 students in the class, and I'm saying that we reserve this question: what are Usul al-Din to Hassan? Then Ali says Usul al-Din are 5. Sarah says who can say 5 the 5 Usul al-Din? And then you, Zara, and other people, you would mention one by one. So what we're trying to do with students here is let them say things. So there's no way to sort of run away from this. As soon as you'll call Hassan, you will see Hassan knows that this is the line they have to read, and they're always waiting for their turn. So they're actively listening to all the other people saying, and when their name comes in, they say something. And this way, you make sure that your key points have gone across to them. So this can be applied to any topic. With some preparation, you'll be able to create a long or a short script, and you and the children both participate in going through that topic. The next one is pictures, and I love pictures myself, and have to be very careful on what to use from the internet. So just be aware of that part, so use as many pictures as possible. And here I'll mention again one of the qualities of Majlis Ulama curriculum. In the new books, there is a lot of pictures and a lot of colored pictures. So get hold of the digital version of the books if you haven't so far. And those pictures are definitely ours, and if they are related to the topic. So the picture that you can see, this is from the I think this is from the book. So you just take a snipping tool, snippet of the picture, and use that in your slide or on a printout, and use as many pictures as possible. So all you're doing is, when we are explaining an akhlaq topic, so this is about, helping the elderly, saying thank you, teamwork and hard work, and a few topics like, can be used for this sort of picture. Bring this picture up, and you just quiet, you're asking everyone turn by turn, tell me, like, what's happening in this picture. And while the first person is saying, the other people are thinking, and they come back with the answers. And you close off the conversation by saying, by appreciating everyone that their understanding is correct, and also confirming that yes, this is what we were teaching. So lots of pictures available, and as they say, the pictures cover a lot of text in sort of one go. So part of using pictures is that the way a text is written, for example, about helping others, may not be the way the child wants to or is able to understand that particular topic. So when they're seeing the same thing, but when they read it in their own language or in their own way, using their own experiences and backgrounds and understanding, then they get the point much more easier compared to reading out and learning from what a paragraph says in there. The next one is using a online whiteboard, or if you're in a physical class, then you can use a flip chart or something like that, or even like draw something. And something where we have, let's say, like steps involved, like we are showing the steps of ruku and sujud, and then the person sitting back. What you could do is, remove one of the pictures from between. So you have, one person doing ruku, and then there is no picture of sajda in there, and the person is sitting down. So we are explaining the positions of prayer, and in different, there's lots of positions of prayer, and you could find this in the book, and plenty of places sort of online. Usually, I find the online Islamic websites, and there are lots of Shia websites as well, where the material you can use. Obviously, check this before you use them. But you are able, because they are for, unless they are selling that piece of thing. But a lot of resources have been made available, and you could just reuse those resources. And I think, and this is a suggestion, maybe from Majlis Ulama side, that if there is a place where there are lots of resources available, perhaps we can talk to them as an organization and ask them to share the resources with us, and then that we can share with our teachers. Similarly, like if there is a word, then so you are explaining the things that break a fast, then those words, turn them into like a blank space. So you are saying, like, eating breaks fast, intentionally eating breaks a fast. Then that eating, make it like E and then space and T, and or maybe more complicated, so with an E and then G in the end. And then we can find out, let's ask people, like, what it could be. And sometimes, again, one tip for this part is the students, sometimes things are like really easy and you get a very quick answer, so you that should not be it. So you, within your preparation, have like enough material, depending on how much time you have. You could have enough material available, so that if the children, some things are like quite easy. I'm finding, like, even the young children, alhamdulillah, with people being at home, they are seeing their parents, and there's some good tarbiyah going on at home. and they are becoming more aware of the Islamic things and the Majlis and Jashans and Niyaz and everything happening at home. So they are, so sometimes if you find like things moving too quickly, then you could have a lot more of these available just so that they keep practicing, and then they, by the end of it, they're really aware of that topic. Okay, now there are some online tools, and these may not be appropriate for the younger children. Having said that, some of the younger children are, especially with their parents involvement, so you need some sort of support with the younger children. And parents, when parents are working with their 6, 7, 8-year-olds, then that's the best learning environment. Sometimes they leave the child to learn themselves at that very early stage, like they used to do in madrasas, and that's not really useful. But for the older ones, especially like 10, 11-year-olds, these things sort of really help. So I'll quickly go through them. There is a website called, and I don't think I'll have time to demo that, but at the end of the slide and from Elishama, you can maybe have the email address for myself, and I'm very happy to work with you to explain like how these things work if you find the idea sort of really useful. So there is this website called Google Jamboards. Some people might have heard of it, and this is to rather than students saying something one way, so you do want them to talk obviously, but this is another way of them sort of giving out their sort of information. You could have like an online post-its wall, so people can, it's a free thing. You go in and you create a Jamboard, and you send a link of that board to all the students. They all come in and they use like different colored post-its. And if you ask a question, or this is more for brainstorming, I'd say, in there. So you could say, let's just think about what we know of these topics, and you put some ideas in or some questions in, and then let them answer that part. So you could use the chat function, but this becomes like a bit more interactive and understand from a attraction perspective, rather than writing something in chat, because now they're using something. One of the I think things that I'd like to say over here from a technology perspective, some teachers, if they are using a technology tool, I see like very few technology like tools, softwares, or online websites being used by teachers. Most probably because they have a limited time for their class. So if they start fiddling with a tool or setting up a tool, that might just take too much time, and then the lesson content is sort of taken away. So there is a need where outside of those, and I'm sure like that can be quite easily arranged, the technical testing part or setup part or practice part, that can't happen within the class. So when you get into the class, apart from if someone has a real problem, these things should be sort of ready to go. So have maybe like an informal class. So I mean, obviously you have to understand the tool first yourself. Once you have, then have like a little informal class, and then during the class you'll be able to utilize that as best as possible. Now I get this question all the time, that we are not technical. I'm very afraid to say this, and however, there's no choice. Like going forward, you at least, I won't say 100% of the time, but without technology we won't be able to succeed. That's where sort of things are moving towards, and the other educational systems are utilizing technology, techniques, methods, and excelling, and we are kind of moving at a very slow pace just because of this point. We are not technical. Let's raise our level a little bit. There is help available. There are people available to train. And there are lots of videos, guides, and I've seen people understanding to build websites without zero computer knowledge, just by some few like steps in there. So yeah, so get to that point where you have at least a basic use of what you really need. So Jamboards is one of them. This is like a post-it system. If you are used to of post-its in class, then you could use that electronically. I don't need to mention Kahoot. I think everyone needs or everyone uses, sorry, Kahoot. One point about Kahoot specifically is the setup of that. So by default, Kahoot is set up for this 20 seconds answers, and I feel sometimes the 20 seconds are not enough. There are kids who need to digest that question, look at all the four answers, and then come back with a proper answer. So I know, like, the fastest answer wins, but here the purpose is not the fastest answer, it's more of a correct answer. So look at some of the Kahoot settings, make sure the question is really clear. Again, that if the question has got slight error in it, that could change the understanding or the answers as well. So when you create the questions, maybe run the Kahoot yourself first and see, like, how it will come up, rather than doing the Kahoot and just saving it and you say, I'll just run it next time when we are in class. There is a website called Quizlet, and it is used for quizzes. Again, you could go to, I'll put all the links in there. These are all free resources, by the way. So you could just just go in and play around with it. There are, again, videos to show you, like, how that works. And again, if there is an opportunity, then I'll be sort of happy to help in there. Another one is Slido. And those who have used Slido, it's used in workplaces more, and I found it from my workplace too. But then I found it very useful within the classroom. So this is, again, a free sort of thing, like Kahoot. You get a code, you enter the code, and if someone, during the class, if an idea comes into your mind, you could just put that idea onto your mobile phone or on a laptop, and all those ideas appear on the screen. So when we use chat in Zoom, that chat box is available to everyone sort of individually, so they can see the chat box and what's happening in it. But if there is like a small screen where the teacher is recording, and this could be used for multiple purposes, for asking questions, even teacher putting in sort of specific points. So one of the ways that Slido can be used is you create these important points, rather than having let's say a PowerPoint with all the key areas. When you come to a conclusion, or when you have made a particular point, or you want kids to know about certain thing in a sentence format, you just place that in a and then the list will start appearing on the screen, and you will be amazed, how kids would look at that, and when they read that one line, reading that from a PowerPoint slide. Not saying PowerPoints are not useful, but this is another way where you see that statement, and that statement would make a completely different impact in something that you read out, from a PowerPoint, especially if they can write their comment and they can see what's going on. It's kind of an equivalent to chat, but a different way.
Sorry, brother, could you repeat this last point that you made? I didn't understand.
Okay, so the last one is a program called Slido. If you go onto this sli.do/education, what it does is, if someone needs to ask a question, or if the teacher needs to emphasize a particular point, the common way is that you would write that in chat, and that goes on to for all the students. But because the chat is being used for multiple things, it may lose that that importance part. And if you want students to participate in something, so now we're asking, let's take an example. We're talking about jihad, for example, right? An interesting topic, and you have to make like 3 or 4 different points about jihad. That jihad means struggle. It's not necessarily just the fighting part of it. You could struggle to get education. You could struggle to get your livelihood. So basically, you're not sitting idle. You have to do something. That's jihad. And then if a time comes on your religion, then you go and do whatever is needed, for the religious part as well. So you have to make these 4 points, and you raise a question on Slido that will appear on this as it is shown on the screen. So that statement would appear on the screen, and the kids are answering, rather than all sort of talking in their own turns by unmuting the microphone or writing that in chat. This is another method where they write things and it will appear on a screen on a particular topic. So all the related information about one topic could come on the screen, and that's that helps in understanding that particular topic. The next one is Zoom virtual backgrounds. So again, I'm sure Zoom has become a very common topic and common software that everyone uses. People have tried all sorts of virtual backgrounds. What I find useful is within a class, if you are teaching something. So in this screen, the slide that is on, we're teaching the history part. When for charity, when the Al Bayt fasted, and they gave all their food just before iftar time. Those sort of things. Or you could have another picture where in the book it shows Prophet Ibrahim being thrown, using a machine in there. So when you have these pictures ready, and you can take screenshots of these pictures from the book. And Majlis Ulama uses Zoom, and lots of people and madrasas use Zoom or any other software. Usually there is an option to put a virtual background. So depending on the topic, you have this picture in the background. And this would just, while you're doing whatever you're doing in terms of teaching, using all these tools, you will have the kids concentrating on that picture, and you could always talk about the picture as well. So have a range of pictures, and you could use as your virtual backgrounds at different times. So I will move on because my wife is next, and she won't be happy if I take a lot of her time. Again, more tips. If we are teaching something like homes, for example, we can ask the kids to bring in some money, like I don't know, a £5 note and a few pound coins and 20p coins and all that. So let them all have their coins, and when you're ready with some calculations, so you say, like, if you've got, everyone tells their total, and that's their savings, and then they do the 20% and take the homes out. So you can teach Kums on a page saying that this is the calculation, or let them actually do it in their own ways, and then ultimately you would get that same result, but have taught in a bit of a different way. Another sort of point over here, with the classes, what I find useful is, and it might be like putting slightly more work in you, but you always have 2 classes in your mind rather than the next class. So what you are teaching that week and what you will be teaching the week after. And this always help in setting that scene, or asking children what they need to be prepared in that one class. In class 1, you're explaining like what will happen in class 2. But when you're preparing for the classes, you're preparing for class 1 and class 2 together, if you know what I mean. Okay, another method is assigning roles of everyone in, for example, we're teaching Karbala, and we've asked everyone to have a particular role. So, 5 students in the class, one of them becomes the Imam, the other one becomes Sayyida Zainab, and you have, what you need to teach them, like, the good qualities of Sayyida Zainab or Imam. When they come into the class, you say, okay, Ali, you are Imam today. Tell us about yourself. And these people are reading out, just reading out. They're not saying themselves, but what you have told them, they're just reading that out to the class, and that way they they don't miss it, and they don't just listen things from you. They actually take part in that. Lastly, no, lastly, okay, and the next point actually. So teach key concept and ask students to make notes, and ask students to select a classmate and teach them. So we, writing, making notes is definitely needs to be encouraged with students, and ask them to share that. You have to see that they are making notes. There's no getting away from that. They can't retain everything that they learn. So let them make notes, and once they have now, and you can see that everyone has got a paper with some bits written on it. Now you're selecting 2 students, and say, or even ask the students to select a classmate. So ask Ali to select anyone, and then let him tell what he has, what is in his notes, and again, any concept that they've missed, you could just add that. I put some more tools in there, which I'll just run through just because of time. So mind maps is really good. This software on this website, sorry, lets you create free mind maps. So you could, if you, it will tell you about mind maps as well. So you put a concept in, and you just branch out all the different things related to that. I found like making posters together also helps. So you are explaining about let's say the Imam, or so Imam Mahdi, right? So if you made, and then on that poster you're saying, let's just put all the qualities and all the things related to an Imam on a poster, and you open up this poster my wall. It's a free thing. Select a template in advance, and then you could just create the poster together. This website, puzzles.org, it lets you create free puzzles, but there's 12 more things. You can create crosswords, puzzles, word search, everything, and it's all free. So create that in advance, and then either you can print, make them PDF and send that to people, or if you're in a school, then you can print them off, and then they could do the word search. There are online games like this. So, if possible, take some for the younger kids, like take 5 minutes out to play like an online game together, just to bring that fun back into the classroom. And I'm sure everyone's aware of the Zoom polls as well. So, ask that question, put the 2 things in. If you have to use the MCQs at the end of the chapters, then perhaps turn them into polls and use them as a poll. Okay, use of color is recommended by a lot of sort of learning experts. When they are making notes, just ask them to just create a coding, a color code, and you say, whenever you write this, write it in this color, write this, write it in this color, and that just creates that extra sort of attraction towards making notes. Rewards, again, a very easy way to do it is you have a Google Excel file or your own Excel file, and just keep that open. As soon as someone is good behavior, finishes first, attendance, everything that's happening in your categories, just every end of a topic, just open up that Excel file or show them on a board if you're on site, and this challenging and competitive attitude would make them more prone to learning. Student needs a sense of growth and see progress in terms of learning. I'd say, and this really helps with me as well, in a term you have 20 topics to teach. Make like a chart or a graph, and show like what have we learned so far, and this can be used for sort of revision as well. Just moving towards the end. So this is the checklist that I've created for the what I call the innovative teacher, and these points. Thinking and preparing is definite. You can't have a good class without thinking and preparation. They say like no 2 days of a moment should be the same. I say like no 2 classes should be the same. Because if you have the same classes, then there is a chance of that boring element coming in. There's plenty of teachers out there. Majlis Ulama has got a WhatsApp group as well, and we all can form a network and talk together. Understand like what your students learn best from, and this is not possible in the first class if they're new, but once you have with them, this is what they like, and try and make use of those resources. Avoid paragraph text, and you definitely using bullet points and keywords, plenty of pictures. And this is an interesting one. You have to feel excited about your lesson. If you are not feeling excited, then your students will not feel excited. So make sure somehow you feel excited going into that class. And if you're not, then just know that this won't happen. Get students to show off their work somehow. These days you can share pictures or a display board. You could even have a display board in a Zoom background with students' work. And this classroom should be, whether it's online or on site, it should feel like a buzz or something happening, not like a business meeting where everyone's just sitting quiet, one person speaks and everyone's just like quietly listening. So they are young people. There would be some element of fun in there, just to get to what we want to achieve. This is just a reminder, and after learning from a lot of teachers and scholars, a teacher is a very important post, designation, no less than a doctor, who saved lives, or a fireman who saved lives as well. And in some ways, even to a scholar or a prophet, like, because they are guides, they tell us like, the right and wrong and teach us things. And it's just not a job or a volunteer activity. It's actually a responsibility. So that's all from my side. I'm sorry I had to rush sort of towards the end. We have a lot of questions, but I see that people have shared, and this is what we want, the network. So they have question raised, and there have been sort of answers, and maybe we could just answer them together in one of the emails, because we've got all your sort of email addresses. And unless there are any like sort of final questions, we can move on to the next one. Okay.
Sorry, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Just wondered, these slides in your lesson, is it possible to have copies of them?
Brother Misam, I think we should be able to do that, right?